8 confirmed kills, up to 93 suspected murders. Join us next on a Murder Mafia for Truth or Lies, the story of Samuel Little. Welcome back, Murder Mafia. I am your host of pod, Father Richard Bystron. Joining me today is my right-hand man, my ace boom coon, my consigliere, Mr. DW. What's going on, Dylan?
What up?
So, coming off the Facebook Live event, which was a blast, did a bunch of giveaways, gave away pop sockets, gave away a cup. We had a blast. The next one will be scheduled for a couple weeks. Make sure you join us for that one. What's that?
We're hoping it went a little more smoothly.
Yeah, Instagram. Instagram, the platform just isn't as good as the Facebook platform, but that's not.
And then I couldn't get on the Facebook Live, but we need to go into that.
Exactly. The bracelet giveaway, guys, still going on. Simple to do it. Yeah, if you listen on Apple, leave a 5-star rating and review. Follow the Facebook and or the Instagram. Message me, and I send you a bracelet. Pretty simple. If you are not on Apple, that's okay. You can leave a 5-star rating and review on the Facebook page. Join the Facebook page and or Instagram account and message me, and I send you in that way. Also, guys, check out the Facebook and or Instagram. The merchandise shop is up and running. I will link them in both. As a matter of fact, I think they are linked in both. Other than that, we are going to get into Samuel Little. This case to me is strange because...
And we've promised... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So we've promised this case since we started. If you look on our website, since we made the website, Sam Little is the final picture left that we have not covered. Most of those people are covered in season 1, but he's the final person, and it took us a while to get to him.
Yeah. My only concern with this case, or not concern, my only thing with this case is unlike someone like Andre Chikatilo, who has 58 confirmed kills, they have bodies, names, birth dates, so on and so forth. The majority of Sam Little's crimes are suspected. They're not proven. He's only honestly been confirmed killing 8. He's been suspected in 63, I believe. He's admitted to 93. Well, I said he was suspected of 63. He admitted to 93.
Yeah.
I don't believe him. I believe he killed more than 8, significantly more than 8. I do not believe he killed 93.
No. But
at the same time, he got away with it for so long. Who the hell knows?
I mean, I wouldn't be absolutely shocked because he had run-ins with the law his whole life. So I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if it did come out he killed 93. But I would be a little surprised because I don't think. I mean, it'd take a long time. This would be one of the most prolific serial killers in American history.
Well, no, he would be. It wouldn't even be close.
He would be. And not only that, is it had to be almost like a Chikatilo type thing where he had to kill very, very, very often.
Well, kind of. But if you think about it.
Well, he did go a while, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, what, 30 years?
Yeah. But still, 93 people isn't.
Yeah, but if you think about it, that's one every only 4 months if you talk about a 30-year span. That's actually not as...
It depends his mentality going into it. Again, like I talked about, I think it was the Chikatilo? I'm not sure if it was Chikatilo. With Berkowitz, he talked about how, you have to find the perfect person at the perfect time. Of course, this is kind of like also like the Sowell case a little bit, where he kind of went after people who were druggies. And not all of them, but I think a good portion of them.
Well, the majority of them were prostitutes or addicts or people hitchhiking across the country. He preyed on vulnerable women.
So that's why I'm saying... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So that's why I'm saying I think he could have definitely killed 93 because when a druggie goes missing, they can just wake up in another town. And that's not really abnormal. So that's why...
It's not. It's and your family, unfortunately, when you're dealing with people in that lifestyle, they kind of write you. A lot of them kind of write you off, and it's kind of a lost cause at that point. The only problem is, and again, it's people. And don't get me wrong. Again, I know I firmly believe he's killed significantly more than 8. I don't believe his number at 93. And people point to the fact that he drew pictures of all these people. If you look at the pictures he drew of all these victims, a lot of them look a lot alike. Even I've got some audio I'm going to be putting in here, and like he talks about 4 of the victims. Like some of these victims, like I said, I wholeheartedly believe he killed more than 8. The details he gives are almost too detailed to be fake, if that makes any sense.
Exactly.
You can make up a story, but they are so detailed that it's hard to believe that it's not true. The other reason I believe him 100% is if you watch the interview, and you can go to YouTube and watch the interview with police where he's talking about some of these murders, he absolutely loves the attention he's getting from this. He loved telling the stories, but that also leads me to wonder if he's telling the story because some of it's not true. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the case. So Sam Little was born June 7th, 1940 in Reynolds, Georgia, to a mother he claimed was a prostitute, which is one of the reasons why he hated prostitutes so much, by the way. Soon after his birth, his family moved to Lorain, Ohio, where he was brought up mainly by his grandmother. He attended Hawthorne Junior High School, where he had problems with discipline and achievement, which doesn't surprise me one bit. In 1956, after being convicted of breaking and entering into property in Omaha, Nebraska, Little was held in an institution for juvenile offenders. He moved to Florida to live with his mother in his late 20s, working at various times as a cemetery worker, a little creepy for a serial killer, and an ambulance attendant, even more creepy. Little had said he began traveling more widely and had more run-ins with the law, being arrested in 8 different states for crimes including driving under the influence, fraud, shoplifting, solicitation, armed robbery, aggravated assault, and rape. Little claims that he took up boxing during his stints in prison, referred to himself as a former prize fighter. And see, this is again why I just don't believe a lot of what he says. He craved attention. He would say things just to make himself sound good, because he almost borderline has like a male version of Munchausen's by proxy syndrome, where he craved the attention.
And again, we've talked about this a couple times, and me and you both agree on this. The Berkowitz case is very overrated for the case itself-wise, but the psychological aspect of that case is really good. And I think it points to this because Berkowitz loved the attention. He loved the attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes with this. And other people love the attention, like BTK and some other killers. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, this guy. If you watch the interviews, the attention he gets from telling the story is just unbelievable. So in 1961, Little was sentenced to 3 years in prison for breaking into a furniture store in Lorain. He was released in 1964. And by 1975, he had been arrested 26 times in 11 states for crimes including theft, assault, attempted rape, fraud, and acts on government officials. In 1982, Little was arrested in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and charged with the murder of 22-year-old Melinda Rose Lepre, who had gone missing in September of that year. A grand jury declined to indict Little for the murder of Lepre. However, while under investigation, Little was transferred to Florida to be brought to trial for the murder of 26-year-old Patricia Ann Mount, whose body was found September of 1982. Prosecution witnesses identified Little in court as a person who spent time with Mount on the night before her disappearance. Due to mistrust of eyewitness testimonies, Little was actually acquitted. So already here, 1982, he was born in 1940, so that's actually really late in life now for a serial killer. 2 murders only by 42, I almost wonder if he started developing a God complex where he thought he would get away with it, because obviously it just significantly escalates after this.
Well, I think you kind of saw it start to form with the whole prison boxing and stuff like that. I think you kind of started to see that I wouldn't say I think he felt invisible, but I think there's definitely a God complex forming inside of his mind.
Well, and I think being acquitted of 2 or not being indicted on one and getting away cold with another one is a pretty good indication of that. So Little moved to California, where he stayed in the vicinity of San Diego. A lot of transients in that area, so this was kind of a big hunting ground. In October 1984, he was arrested for kidnapping, beating, and strangling 22-year-old Lori Barros, who survived. 1 month later, he was found by police in the backseat of his car with an unconscious woman, also beaten and strangled. Oh, man. In the same location as he attempted the murder of Barros. Little served 2.5 years in prison for both crimes. Upon his release in February of 1987, He immediately moved to Los Angeles and committed more than 10 additional
Only
murders.
2.5 years?
Yep.
Beat 2 women, guaranteed caught with 1. 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
California. What is it? Well, I mean, I hate picking on California because California is gorgeous, but the criminal justice system in the state of California is an absolute. It's in shambles. So Little was obviously arrested September 5th, 2012 at a homeless shelter in Louisville, Kentucky, and extradited to California to face narcotics charges, after which authorities used DNA testing to establish that he was involved in the murder of Carol Eileen Elford, killed on July 13th, 1987, Guadalupe Duarte Apodaca, killed September 3rd, 1987, and Audrey Nelson Everett, killed August 14th, 1989. All 3 women were killed and later found on the streets of Los Angeles. He was extradited to Los Angeles, where he was charged January 7th of 2013. A few months later, the police said he was being investigated for the involvement in dozens of murders committed in the 80s, which until had been undisclosed. I don't know why the police would not disclose them, but why would you not disclose that? You might have gotten a lead from somebody somewhere along the lines, at least a description, something. I don't know. In connection with the new circumstances in Mississippi, the LaPree murder case was reopened. In total, Little was tested for involvement in 93 murders of women committed in many U.S. states. So, the trial of Sam Little for the murders of Alfred Nelson and Apodaca began in September of 2014. Prosecution presented the DNA evidence as well as the testimony of witnesses who were attacked by the accused at different times throughout his criminal career. On September 25, 2014, Little was found guilty and was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, because, of course. On the day the verdict was read, Little continued to insist on his innocence, which I think is hysterical. As of 2016, Little was serving a sentence at the California State Prison in Los Angeles County. Here's where things get wild. He soon realized that, first of all, he wasn't going anywhere. He was going to be stuck in prison for his entire natural life, which hopefully won't be too much longer. He started admitting to an unprecedented and an unbelievable amount of crimes.
Now, here's where I definitely think he started to get... Okay, so you finally get caught, right? You get caught, and now you realize the trial's over, the attention's over, it's done. And then he starts spilling out the stories.
Sure, because I need to keep the attention on myself.
There needs to be like a name for this. I don't think there is. For guys, there's Munchausen system.
No, it's called being an attention whore.
For sure, but there's Munchausen systems for females. There's not one for males.
Well, Munchausen, so it's...
Well, it's different, but I'm saying...
Munchausen's isn't... Yeah, it's a little different. So November 9th, 2018, Little confessed to the 1996 fatal strangulation of Melissa Thomas. On November 13th of 2018, so 4 days later, Little was charged with the 1994 murder of Denise Christine Brothers in Odessa, Texas, after having confessed to the crime to a Texas Ranger. Little pled guilty to the murder of Brothers on December 13th and received another life sentence. The Ector County, Texas District Attorney and Wise County Sheriff's Office also announced on November 13th that Little had confessed to dozens of murders and may have committed more than 90 across 14 states between 1970 and 2005. Damn, that's a long time.
I feel like they kind of... Now, maybe this didn't happen, but I feel like they kind of started to plant some on him. Not like planting, like, corrupt, but like, okay, this woman died. She was kind of a druggie. She died in the 80s. Did you kill her? Because according to this map on the FBI's website, he killed people in California, Nevada, Arizona, Illinois, Ohio, Washington, Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, even more. And that's when it's like, okay, that's a lot of states.
It is a lot of states, but his whole MO was travel. He would constantly basically go back and forth between California and Ohio, where he spent the majority of his life. So it doesn't surprise me that he would have killed people literally that whole trek. Because, I mean, I've made the trek from New York to Tennessee 100 times. You're going to go through Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania.
The crazy thing about this is, if you look at the map, say he went from the closest one to his nearest kill on the other side of the map is Arizona to Houston, Phoenix to Houston. From Houston to Phoenix, which is one of the longest gaps, the closest gap actually, from California to North Carolina. From Houston to Phoenix, there is no murder. Other than Houston and Phoenix. And you were talking about how he, in the track, he didn't find a single person in New Mexico or on the other side of Texas.
I mean, it's possible.
It's definitely possible, but I'm just saying if you go to like Georgia, he has 2 almost right next to each other. South Carolina, 2 right next to each other. Florida, a ton. But then no kills from Houston to Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Which again is why I don't know that I can take him at his word for what he says he did.
I definitely think he killed more than 8. But
I have no doubt he killed more than 8. Yeah. So November 15th of 2018, the Russell County, Alabama District Attorney announced that Little had earlier that month confessed to the 1979 murder of 23-year-old Brenda Alexander, whose body was found in Phoenix City. On November 16th, 2018, Macon, Georgia sheriffs announced that Little had credibly confessed to the 1977 strangling murder of an identified woman and the 1982 strangling murder of an 18-year-old Fredonia Smith. In the fall of 2018, Little confessed to the 1982 murder of 55-year-old Dorothy Richards and the 1996 murder of 40-year-old Daisy McGuire. Both of their bodies were found in Houma, Louisiana. Okay, so what I'm going to do real quick here is I'm actually going to put in the first clip of him just talking about 2 of the women that he murdered. The one is, her name is Marianne. The next woman is an unidentified woman who he killed the only time he drowned a woman. So that's why I'm going to put those 2 clips in here.
Tell me about Mary Ann.
She's what you nowadays they call a transgender.
She's a black male dressed up as a female. Okay. How tall is she?
Mary Ann's about 5'7", 5'6". She weighed about 135.
Okay.
Maybe 140.
And how old do you think she was?
But she was 19.
Okay. And where was she from?
No, Miami, down in Liberty City.
Okay. And did she, you mentioned before she had a boyfriend, or she talked about a boyfriend?
Named Wes.
Wes?
Yeah.
And tell me about where you met her at.
I seen her down at the Guar on 17th Avenue, and she had on a short cream miniskirt. Cream and red. So then this opportunity popped up. Take her to the store.
Right.
Instead of me bringing her back to the apartment, I went down 27th Street. That's going down to Fort Lauderdale, called the Alligator Alley. It runs into the Alligator Alley.
Right.
But the further out you get, the further you get out of Miami.
Right.
And you got vegetation in there.
Now, how far outside of Miami do you think you were?
It wasn't too far to Miami, right there. I was in my stepdad's car, Pontiac Le Mans.
Now, where'd you take her to?
Continue down 27. Got back on 27.
Going outside of Miami. Okay.
Miami.
Going away from Miami.
Going away from Miami. We got down past the let's say limits. So I continued on toward Fort Lauderdale, and I seen a road going off the main road back into the vegetation on the left side. So I got her out of the car, pulled her out, and drug her into the growth back there, and pulled her deeper into there's a path. A little path was running somewhere. I don't know where it led it to, but it was running deeper into the undergrowth. It's like Everglades like that. And we ran into some water running. But before we got to the water, the earth was mushy. I turned her loose, and she fell into it face down.
And how far outside of Miami do you think you were?
About a mile, 2 miles.
What year did Mary Ann occur?
72.
Okay, 1970.
Pretty, a light-skinned, brown, honey-colored skin. And she was about she was tall for a woman, about 5'8", 5'9", and beautiful shape, and she's friendly.
And how much do you think she weighed?
She had a beautiful body, a beautiful 150, well put together.
And how old do you think she was?
She was about 30.
Okay. And she's a black female.
Yeah.
And tell me where you met her.
I met her in a nightclub in New Orleans. Her and her sister she had two sisters. Her and her youngest sister was having a birthday party. Her sister was dancing with this guy on the floor. And when I come in, the girl that I was with offered me to dance with me. And while we were dancing, she says, you want to go riding after this, after this party's over? We walked outside and she looked and seen my car at Lincoln. She said, ooh, that's a beautiful car too. So she had arm in arm, walking to the car. We got in, stopped at the gas station. We were on the Highway 10 and going toward Slidell. I seen the sign say Little Woods. Mm-hmm. So I took off the exit, went, and that sure enough was a road leading into the woods. And we went in and parked. So we finally got to where we were going, and it was by a bayou, a river, a little water thing, and the big, they had a machine out there in that little river.
Dredging.
Okay. I grabbed her by the legs and pulled her to the water. Mm-hmm. That's the only one that I ever killed by drowning.
Describe the location where she's left.
Okay, I left her with her head still there in the water, half her body in the underwater, and her thighs and legs.
So again, what you just listened to is him admitting to killing Marianne and an unidentified woman who was the only woman he killed by drowning. On November 27, 2018, the FBI announced that a violent criminal apprehension program team had confirmed 34 of Little's confessions and was working to match the remainder of Little's confessions to known murders or suspicious deaths. Little began making the confessions in exchange for a transfer out of LA County Prison in which he was being held. One included his confession to a previous cold case homicide in Prince George's County, Maryland, previously one of the only 2 homicide cases in that county with unidentified victims. In December 2018, Little was indicted for strangling Linda Sue Boards, 23, to death in May of 1981 in Warren County, Kentucky. Her body was found on May 15th in 1981 near U.S. Route 68. One of Little's victims was identified in December of 2018 as Martha Cunningham of Knox County, Tennessee, who was 34 years old when Little murdered and raped her in 1975. May 31st, 2019, Cuyahoga County, Ohio prosecutors announced indictments with 4 counts of aggravated murder and 6 counts of kidnapping that accused Little of carrying Mary Jo Payton in 1984 and Rose Evans in 1991, and both in Cleveland. Both victims were raped, strangled, and dumped. The body of Rose Evans, 32, was found on August 24, 1991, in a vacant lot on East 39th Street. She left her hometown of Binghamton, New York, when she was 17. Evans had been strangled, according to the coroner Elizabeth Bahara. As for Payton, an anthropologist had to create a model of what she looked like, but she remained unidentified until 1992, when Cleveland put her thumbprint in an FBI database and got a match. Little picked up Payton at a bar near East 105th and Euclid Avenue. He described her as a short, plump woman in her 20s with brown hair. Little also confessed to killing another Cleveland woman in 1977 or 78. The woman murdered in 77 or 78 was found on March 18th of 1983 in Willoughby Hills, according to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. She was black and somewhere between 17 and 35 years old, which doesn't really nail it down very much.
So really big.
Yeah. The woman's body had been dumped on a grassy slope near a fence in a wooded area just off Interstate 271. When her body was found by a man walking his dog, only her skeleton, some clothing, and jewelry remained. So real quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the second clip that describes the second clip here is another 2 women. One is an identified woman he picked up in Ohio and then took to Kentucky. And the second one, her name is Ruth, which took place in North Little Rock, Arkansas.
Northern Kentucky, the girl that you met in Columbus. So you meet this girl, I guess you're at a strip bar downtown Columbus.
I went on my car, and this white girl come out behind the building. And I'm in my trunk. She walked over to me, say, come on, y'all, can you take me to Miami?
Describe this girl to me. She white, black, what she look like?
She was white, blonde hair, dishwater dishwater blonde, they go. It's short.
Short, like shoulder length,
Yeah,
or
no, ear length, a little over his ear length.
like a bob.
Yeah, like a bob.
Okay. And how tall do you think she was?
She was about 5'7".
How much do you think she weighed?
She weighed about 130.
How old do you think she was?
Oh, she was about 25.
Okay. You mentioned before that you said she kind of had like this hippie aura to her.
Yeah, she did give you a hippie feeling. I think she was some kind of hippie, yeah.
So you go to Cincinnati, you mess around on Vine Street, and then eventually you guys both get in your car and you cross over the bridge into Kentucky. Tell me about going into Kentucky.
We got to Covington, and then we continued through Covington. Mm-hmm. And there was a park that they were having a festival there. And she heard the music and shit off of that band in there. And by her being a hippie type, she wanted to get to that. But the police came over and peeked in our car. We really wanted me to move out of there. So we, instead of going in there, I took her the other way.
Right.
Winding around, they got hills out in Kentucky, and the road winds around the hills. I seen a little short road going up the hill. Mm-hmm. And up top there was vegetation, wasn't no houses there. And so I pulled up in there and concealed the car in that little vegetation up there on top of the hill.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about this road that goes up the hill. What kind of road is it?
It was like a dirt road.
Okay.
It was like dirt. The grass was growing in the middle between two tracks. When I left her up in that little road up there, on the side of that little road, she was like partially concealed by the vegetation. And I left her there.
North Little Rock. Tell me what that girl looked like.
Oh man, I loved her. I forget her name. Oh wait, I think it was Ruth.
Okay.
She was a heavy set, big old yellow gal, and had buck teeth. It had a gap between the teeth, that's what it was. And she was like honey colored skin, and she had her hair was not really long. It was.
How tall do you think she was?
She was about 5'7".
How much do you think she weighed?
She weighed about close to 200, about 170.
Pretty big girl.
Yeah.
Now, where did you meet her at?
Okay, down in the crack house. Her about 6 other girls were sitting on the porch. The dude selling crack in there. I stopped to go in there. I seen the girls, that's why I stopped. We stayed together 2 days or more. I think about 3 days. We was going shoplifting. We went to Sears. We went to Kroger's, and that's where I got busted. Mm-hmm. They took me to jail, and she went and stayed in the car. And the manager of Kroger's, I guess he got tired of her laying on his property in that car. He called the station where I was at in North Arkansas to drop the charges. Mm-hmm. So he can come down and get this gal and car out of here. They cut me loose. So we was headed toward that place where Walmart's original store been. I whooped off the road and back into that little woods. It was a cornfield back there. I pulled through it, and on the other side of the cornfield was a trash pile. I parked the car facing out where I could see anybody coming in. So I pulled her out of the car. She's too big for me to carry her. So I just pulled her out of the car and laid on that trash that was lit there.
So was it like a cornstalk pile, or was it?
Yeah, a bunch of corn stalks.
What could you see from there?
I could see the highway, and in the woods is that way. But it's right outside of Little Rock. I was about 10 miles from it.
From North Little Rock, you think 10 miles?
Yeah, it was about 10 miles.
Okay.
So if you can see the video that I pulled the audio from, which is this is interview with police, with FBI. he is smirking and smiling
He
and
loves
sitting back. He absolutely loves telling his story.
He's going on and on. Like with Ruth, she's a heavy set, big old yellow gal, had buck teeth, about 5'7", weighed about 200 pounds. She was too big for me to carry. He loved going on and on and on about it.
Yeah, he thoroughly enjoyed any attention he got. He thoroughly enjoyed getting that attention. And it didn't matter from who it was from, whether it was the police, whether it was, and if you think about it, like I said, he was admitting to all these murders to get things he wanted. Just another manipulation technique. He's going to be getting away with, or he's going to be getting what he wants and getting away with and getting the attention he wants more. This is all just manipulation from it. It's really kind of unbelievable. So Little also confessed to killing one woman in Akron, 2 in Cincinnati. One of the bodies was dumped outside Columbus, and one woman he met in Columbus and disposed of in Kentucky. One of the 2 women Little murdered in Cincinnati. One was identified as Anna Stewart, 33, whose body was dumped in Grove City. Stewart was last seen October 6th of 1981, getting out of a cab at General Hospital to see her sister in the hospital. She was killed October 11th. He killed the other woman between 1980 and 1999. That's a very, very long span. The Jane Doe was anywhere from 15 to 50. And what that means is anytime they find an unidentified body, if you're a female, you're considered Jane Doe. If you're a male, it's John Doe. I'm sure the majority of you know that, but just in case.
To a crime show, you probably do.
Exactly. This is, again, you have 8 confirmed murders. Anna Stewart, Mary Jo Payton, Carol Ellard, Guadalupe Apodaca, Audrey Nelson, Jane Doe, because he was linked with DNA, Rose Evans, and Denise Brothers. You then also have 53 unconfirmed. The problem with a lot of these is as I read this, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 49 of the 53 are unidentified. This is why I don't quite believe his stories. Now, he also has become famous for drawing pictures of all of his victims. That's all well and good also.
Well, I wouldn't say well and good.
Well, no. What I mean is that it's well and good that he could draw pictures. The problem with it is that, though, how do you know that these just aren't women he knew or women he saw or women he dated or prostitutes he paid for sex? You don't, just because, I can draw pictures of 500 women and say I killed all these women, but the problem is if you don't know who the hell these women are, how do you know that you really killed them?
Exactly, they're unidentified. We don't see pictures as a face. So you can draw any single picture of a female you want and say, oh, this is her. Any of them to go off of.
Which is why, and somebody, when I posted the Andre Chikatilo story, I believe that Chikatilo is probably the most prolific serial killer the world has ever known. Again, you have 58 distinct dates of birth, names, and bodies to go to his crimes. There is no question to that.
Case is insane.
I'm sorry?
I said that case is insane.
Yeah, Chikatilo is the case is unbelievably, wildly phenomenal.
It's a great case.
It is. Which is why, again, somebody was arguing with me, well, Sam Millo has more confirmed kills. No, he does not.
He has 8 confirmed kills. He has 50 less confirmed kills.
Correct. He's been linked to many. He's not been confirmed.
And if we're going off just the people who have been said they've killed the most, Sam Little's not the most either. I bet there's plenty of people who claim to kill more than 100 people.
If we go by confirmed kills, if you really want to break it down to that, Kermit Gosnell is probably the most prolific serial killer in the history of the world.
If we're going confirmed, Kermit Gosnell probably beats all of them.
Yeah, and it's probably not even remotely close. You're talking that as a matter of fact, that's a great story, guys. I'm not even going to give much of that away, but you're talking about literally thousands. Literally. And
I'm not trying to look at it, but actually it really doesn't, because if it's illegal, then sure.
Precisely. Exactly. So, this is a guy that, again, and I'm not doubting that he killed more than 8 people. I firmly believe.
No, neither of us are. He had that huge span and already killed a couple people. There's no doubt he killed more.
But again, here you are with a guy, though, that started off, first of all, the fact that he only got 2.5 years for raping, beating, and kidnapping unconscious women, that in and of itself, if sentenced properly for those 2 cases, he probably never sees the light of day. And if he did kill 93 people, you would have saved the lives of 91 at that point, because he already had been suspected of 2 murders.
How many cases have we covered recently where we said you had him?
Yeah.
Chikatilo, you had him. What, the guy we just covered? That was a really good case. I forgot his name. Can't remember his name. I don't know if you can.
Carl Watts?
Carl Watts. They had him. And again, I definitely don't think he killed 93 for another reason, is because we've talked about this multiple times. Strangulation is not that easy. Being old and strangling young people is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Especially 93 of them.
Well, no, but at the same time, I mean, if his last confirmed kill was, though, in the 90s. So if you take that into consideration, you're probably talking 50.
I mean, still. Let's say the 50-year-old couldn't.
No,
it wouldn't be as easy.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you there. You're still very, very strong at that age. No. I mean, I'm not saying
like, you're not as agile. You couldn't like chase the person. I mean, you could still chase the person, but I'm saying, you get what I'm saying. Like, you're not 20.
No, but here's the thing, though, is that with someone like him who killed transients and prostitutes and things like that,
yeah, they were right there.
He wouldn't have to chase them.
Yeah, they got into his car and stuff.
Yeah, they're willingly going with you. You're talking about just whacking somebody in the back of the head, literally knocking them unconscious and then strangling them. It's not. I don't think it would take nearly as much as it would. And think about it that way too, though. You're talking about a guy. He was born in 1940. If you're talking about his last confirmed kill in 1999, he's going to be 59 years old at that point. Who is going to suspect? Yeah, who is going to suspect a 60-year-old man is going to do that to them?
Because you probably trust older guys more.
Well, you would think as a prostitute, you would. I can't believe I'm trying to figure out the logic of a prostitute.
You would probably think, okay, he's maybe married. He's for something fun.
Exactly. You're probably going to be much less threatened by a 59-year-old man driving a very nice car, because that's one way he always got a lot of women.
He doesn't look very threatening. He's not. I mean, if you look at like a picture of him, he doesn't look very. No,
he's not. He's not. All right, Dylan. Final thoughts.
Basically, you had him, right? You had him for the 2 beating and batterings of 2 women. You could have put him away for a very long time for that, and you gave him 2.5 years.
Yeah,
and I think you got to hold that kind of responsible for some people's deaths.
Absolutely.
If they would have prosecuted him correctly, we would not have had, even if he did kill 93 people, we would not have had 93 victims. We would have had 90. We would have had 2.
Correct. Because at that point, he already killed 2 people. Exactly. No, I agree. I mean, this is one of those cases to where let's be brutally honest. He is one of the most evil men to ever walk the planet. Absolutely. Just because of what he did.
Yep.
But at the same time, I also firmly believe, even just watch the interview, guys. Go to YouTube, watch the interview. I firmly believe that he thoroughly enjoys the shock value and getting the attention. And I think that's a big reason why he did what he did. And I'm not talking about the murders. I'm talking about the confessions afterwards. I firmly believe that that's the biggest reason he did that, is because he just really craved that attention. Tell me what you think, guys. Let me know if there's any cases you want. A very, very special requested case is coming out Wednesday. I was contacted by the family of Dante Mullinex. It's a brutal case that I was requested by the family to cover, so I'm going to be covering that one Wednesday. I mean, as for myself, the Podfather Richard Bystrom, and for my right-hand man, Mr. DW, talk to you soon. We love you guys. We can't wait for the next live episode. We had a blast. Remember, everybody, evil walks among us.